Rocket Leaguers and newcomers alike, Spaceman here, and this is Rule 1. A Rocket League Insight series where we analyze the best moments from the RLCS, from plays that make or break the field to goals that change the game forever. This week, we'll be pre-jumping back to the final European regional of the winter split, where Dignitas and TrainHard Esports are battling for the right to stay alive in the tournament and continue on to round 4 of the lower bracket. If you'll join me, let's begin. Dignitas is currently behind 2-1 in the series before heading to Coliseum, a series that has been dominated by the speed of TrainHard's third man Catalysm, high in the offensive third. In Game 1, Dignitas were able to outscore the pressure they felt at midfield. No harm, no foul. But in Games 2 and 3, TrainHard have been beating Dignitas to the ball, regularly removing both back corner boosts and raising the velocity of each infield pass to destabilize Dignitas' recovery efforts for field control. Let's take a look at some of the numbers. In the following 2 games that gave TrainHard the series lead, Dignitas spent significantly less time on defense per sequence. That is, as each play developed into offense, Dignitas sustained almost an identical level of possession time per game, raking in around an additional 24.2 seconds uncontested compared to TrainHard. Not only did this metric increase into Game 4, but it without a doubt kept Dig afloat in the series. Even with this attention to ball control, things didn't immediately translate into a Dignitas lead, largely due to a significant portion of said possession time going against a congested offensive third, but it was a foreshadow for the rebound later in the series, and we'll get to that. For now though, up until Game 4, TrainHard was focused on a Dr. Disrespect-esque cocktail of counterplay: violence, speed, and momentum. TrainHard's rate of demos was nearly double that of Dignitas' in matches 2 and 3. This in turn had a direct correlation to the number of shots, or lack thereof, that TrainHard orchestrated during this nail-biting series. As TrainHard's shots decreased over the 2-game split, their on-field violence exploded from 2 demos to 5. That's a jump of nearly 66.6%, effectively thwarting Dignitas' chances at connecting with one another on the infield, disrupting flows, clogging lanes, creating traffic in spots otherwise accessible. Dignitas was playing reactionary Rocket League for 10 straight minutes, and it didn't stop there, constantly playing a man down and forced to siphon off the cavalry out of their respective roles to now play a man-to-man defense as opposed to their normal 2-to-1 zone control set in the simple Y formation that rolls the off-ball defender through the gap. Not only that, but Dignitas consistently lost the man advantage towards midfield, forcing them to call an audible, pull their point man and most dangerous striker Joreus back into net to help the depleted defense withstand multiple shots from Cryptos and Catalysm. With Joreus neutralized as an offensive threat, rotations into transitions down the sideline grew sparse, and Dig had to rely on their ability to maintain possession and play long ball against a fully operational 3-man offense. But getting physical wasn't the only solution for TrainHard. They also were incredibly good at resource management. When it came to hoarding that special elixir that all Athena flicks require, TrainHard snagged an additional 240 boosts in Game 2, and stole nearly 100 more out of Dignitas' half in Game 3. That doesn't even account for all the big pads, 15 of which went right into TrainHard's tank, keeping them involved far more often on the field. TrainHard was allowed to read through their progressions nearly twice as often as Dignitas due to this boost differential, giving them ample time to analyze, predict, and react to their opponents. But Game 4 is where everything changed. This is do or die time for Dignitas, and their hopes of a loser's bracket run falls upon these final 5 minutes in Coliseum. For starters, Dignitas finally caught the Dr. Disrespect memo and started to dish out some pain of their own, tallying up 3 demos on the pitch and matching TrainHard's physical acumen to a T. But it didn't stop there. Dignitas' time of possession in this crucial knockout game was nearly 60%. 60%! And while over half of said possession time came from regaining possession of the ball in their own side of the field, this is when the Dignitas engine becomes threatening. The rebound and recovery game all begins with Violent Panda, and while all 3 members of Dig are more than competent in this category, it's what Violent Panda does so often that is so spectacular. Violent Panda got off 6 shots in total, but he spent 65.29% of his time on the field, moving straight up the field. This meant he was directly responsible for facilitating the offense out to Joreus and apparently Jack. And apparently Jack seemed to favor the right side of the field more often than Joreus. Why does this little stat matter? Because leaving Violent Panda as the third man back on an island for transition management meant Dig were stabilizing shot control as a team, and they were able to finally feed Joreus the ball, moving him out of the goal line. Joreus can use the sidewalls for space creation, the midfield for shot creation, and the air for letting his mechanics blossom over any potential 1v1 upfield. With Joreus feeling comfortable in and around the opposing net, and apparently Jack working through the defense alongside Violent Panda, this Dignitas engine was finally coming online. Well, they struggled to clear the ball, and after non-stop B-roll of boneheaded plays and missed hits, they were down 3 goals with only 2.5 minutes to go. Off of this ensuing kickoff, things started to change. Joreus is positioned back left, Violent Panda dead center, and apparently Jack back right. On the drop, apparently Jack takes charge and crosses through the midfield for a fake kickoff. Joreus is electing to hold off on a follow-up hit and instead retraces his steps and scouts the TrainHard offense, leaving the call on the field up to Violent Panda on the other side. TrainHard has seen this play before just 1 goal ago, so they aim to hold possession immediately on the kickoff rather than going for a quick shot and giving the ball away. The only problem for them is that while Joreus has rotated back towards the center of the box, Violent Panda circled behind the bull rush and slotted into the left lane for an immediate challenge. Apparently Jack has quietly overextended down the field and is running point towards the TrainHard net. One would assume Violent Panda is gunning for a long clear, but thanks to some heads-up positioning and recognizing the defensive spread, he does one better, successfully winning the 50 and banks the ball right off the sidewall on a dot to apparently Jack, who gets the freest goal of his life. Quick decision making is keeping Dignitas alive, and the game is not over. The second goal for Dignitas came through some beautiful infield passing down the stretch and moving into an immediate counterattack within seconds of getting the ball back. Dig is still down 3-2 going into the final 30 seconds, and this is when the miracle at the Coliseum begins. After Violent Panda brings the ball up midfield and leaves his defenders behind, Catalysm steals back possession for TrainHard and extends his touch up the sidewall towards Dig's backboard. Crypto screams upfield for the hit on the initial attempt, even beating Violent Panda to the touch, but awkwardly whiffs on the connection, leaving a neutral ball hanging above the congested post for Econ. Econ now takes his chance, and Dignitas saves it easily, but the ball is lingering right outside the box and temptation gets the best of TrainHard. Catalysm is off the play, far into the corner, and instead of leaving the ball and pulling the backline defense back into transition to secure all available pads and set up for the game's final crescendo, he gets overly aggressive and attempts a panicked follow-up shot. Joreus immediately intercepts the look and punches the ball to the midfield where apparently Jack is already headed. Apparently Jack was off the scene to meet the transitional defense of TrainHard, but he didn't expect to be uncontested down the field, and seeing that the pass from Joreus is off angle, he leaves the touch up to Joreus on the follow-through, who simply dishes it down to Violent Panda, the island himself, for the game-tying, crossbar banking, once-in-a-series type shot with just 15 seconds to go. This next kickoff is all that matters. A roaring Dignitas on the brink of the unthinkable, and a stunned TrainHard on the edge of the unwatchable, and Dignitas left nothing to be imagined. Violent Panda collides with Catalysm for the first touch, while Joreus follows slowly behind, and apparently Jack tracks back behind Joreus following a TrainHard demo onto Violent Panda. With the numbers advantage and midfield control, all TrainHard has to do is push the ball upfield into the orange half and force Dig to go the length of the field after a successful recovery that burns as little boost as possible. Kryptos instead takes the ball and brings it back to his own corner, relinquishing all the midfield control TrainHard had just acquired and icing themselves into a disastrous position with limited options to clear the ball or kill the clock. Joreus jumps into an aerial challenge that favors a chance at a 50 win and steals the ball away towards the ceiling. It ricochets around directly in front of apparently Jack, who has a wide open net in front to score, with Econ sitting close left at the bottom, now in the biggest guessing game of his career. As apparently Jack shoots it low right at Econ to get him moving left of the net for a favorable save that would send the ball to the corner, Joreus does the unthinkable. With limited boost and zero margin for error, he shoots the gap, crippling Econ's area of coverage and slipping behind Catalysm, who was crossing into the lane. With one simple half flip off the hood, he punches the ball right over Econ and out of Catalysm's reach. A play that was designed, executed, and imagined by Joreus in less than a millisecond's time. Dignitas grab the lead, ice the game, and they go on to win in Game 5. They completed the miracle of Coliseum in one of the most profound final moments the RLCS has ever seen. And that, my friends, is worth a babam.